Hey guys, David from Sunday Sounds here. So today we're gonna talk about something that became a little bit of an obsession of mine several years ago, and that was finding the best budget in-ear monitors for my own worship team. Up until about 5 years ago, in-ear monitors were just expensive, right? That's just what everybody expected. You had to invest some money to get in-ear monitors for you or for your worship team. Then a few years ago, this unknown brand called KZ started popping up on every worship leading and worship music Facebook group around the world. Somebody, I don't know who discovered them first, discovered this model of in-ears that they put out called the ZSTs. And folks were saying that these sounded better than options that costed $100 or even $200. And people lost their flippin' minds. I think they went out of stock on Amazon for multiple months, and I think that was probably 99% worship musicians. So of course, I bought some, and they actually sound freaking good. For $20, they sound better than the Shure 215s, which are $100 or $150 in my opinion. So KZ came out with the ZSTs, and everybody that I know that played on a worship team ended up buying them. But guys, I have a confession to make. I started to have a little bit of a problem after I bought these ZSTs because KZ started to come out with new monitors that seemed like every other day. So I bought the KZ ZSRs, and these are bad. I hate these. Mainly they sound terrible, but you also can't remove the cable, so I'm just gonna throw those away. But this is where it gets embarrassing. I just kept buying every new one that they came out with. Just kept going and going. And some of them were good and some of them were really bad, and they all had the exact same name with maybe one letter difference. So really quickly, I'm gonna just say a few that I actually think are really good, and they're gonna cover a couple different price points because I do actually love this brand, and I think if you're on a budget, if you're looking for universal in-ears, that this brand is doing stuff that no other brand is doing, and you can get them via Amazon Prime in 2 days. So a couple options here I'm gonna talk about. The ZSRs, like I said, these are really bad. I don't like them at all. I would not recommend them. These are the ZS5s. Which are actually really good. There's 2 dynamic drivers and 2 balanced armatures in each one. There's a couple reasons that I really love these. The main one being size. The ZSTs and a lot of the other options are pretty bulky in your ear. If you've got vocalists on your team especially that are really uncomfortable wearing in-ears, this is a great option because it has decent bass response, has really good treble response, and they're a lot smaller than any of the other options that I'm gonna talk about. And I think they sound really good, and it's in some cases worth not having better sound because they're so darn ergonomic. They are plastic, but I found that they hold up pretty well and they're really sleek. The ZST, if you're on a budget, is still a good option. I think these are dual drivers, if I remember correctly, and they're cheap. They're 20 bucks, and they're plastic, but they sound pretty darn good. If it were me, I'd probably go for the ZS5 over the ZSTs if you can afford double the price. So when this whole in-ear monitor on Amazon craze first got started, folks were discovering other brands other than KZ were putting out in-ears that seemed sort of in the same ballpark as well. So I tried some of those, and these are the Zithers from a brand called TFZ. So you had KZ making the ZSTs, and then you had TFZ making the Zithers, and I don't know, people couldn't keep them straight, but bad news, these are awful. Don't buy them, they're really bad. So next, I want to talk about 2 of the newer options available from KZ. So this is the ZS10. And this is a little confusing because there's not 10 drivers, there's 5, so I guess between the 2 ears. The ZS10 and the AS10 look pretty much exactly the same. There's some slight differences. The AS10s are a little bit smaller, but there's pretty minute differences between the 2. The AS10s have a slightly different driver configuration that makes them a little bit less bass heavy and a little bit more balanced. So I like the AS10 as more of like a reference or flat monitor. So for folks on your team, like maybe guitarists or vocalists who don't need a little bit of a beefier low end and they want lots of upper mid and high end clarity, I like the AS10s for that. And the ZS10s just have a little bit of extra oomph in the low end and the low mid range. These are pretty much the same price on Amazon, and they do very, very similar things. They're both 5 drivers. The configuration of those drivers is just a little bit different. Now, some people find these really, really uncomfortable to wear because they are pretty heavy and they hang out of your ear a good bit. Some people find that the comfort is really improved by using a foam tip. I'll put a link in the description to a third-party brand that makes foam earbud tips exclusively called Comply. I really, really recommend investing in some of those foam tips because they're gonna last a lot longer and you're gonna get better isolation and a stronger seal. And then lastly, here are the KZ AS16s. Now these are the newest model from KZ, at least at the time that we're recording this video they are. These are 8 balanced armature based headphones, 8 in each ear. And guys, these sound really, really, really good for universal monitors. Now, these are way more expensive than any of the other options that I talked about. We're truly up into that name brand territory when it comes to price now. This is about the same price as something like the Shure 215. But with the Shure 215s, you're getting a single driver, and with these, you're getting 8 per ear. It's absolutely crazy. The other awesome thing about these is that they feel a lot more durable than anything else I've ever bought from KZ. They have an actual metal faceplate, which feels really, really good. And the profile of these isn't any bigger than the AS10s or the ZS10s. These actually feel a little bit better in my ear than any of the other KZ headphones that I've used, other than this little guy that I talked about a minute ago, the ZS5. So I have been super impressed with these. If you're the worship leader or you just want to give yourself some extra hearing protection to be able to run at slightly lower volume, the jump in audio quality that I've experienced with these versus any of these other options from KZ is definitely worth the price. So I'll put a link in the description to these. With some of these other options, they come with cables that are pretty junky, and I've actually spent money on replacement cables to try and make them a little bit more comfortable. The AS16s came with a cable that's absolutely great. It's got this really awesome wire that helps it bend over your ear. KZ is really targeting, I think, the higher end market of universal in-ear wearers with this, and it's still under $200. So I'm really excited about these. I've been using them for a few months now, and they sound awesome. Now guys, the last thing I want to say is that these are universal in-ear monitors. Now you might be wondering, 8 drivers in an ear, is this going to sound better than expensive custom in-ear monitors? No, it's not. None of these are going to sound as good as base level custom in-ear monitors. And that's just because these monitors are doing something at a price point that customs are just not meant to do, right? These are one size fits all. You just pop them in, you're ready to go. And they sound great. Some sound absolutely awesome. But when you get a custom mold made that's meant to fit the shape of your ear, you're gonna get isolation and sound quality like you're just not gonna be able to get with universal monitors. So if you're on a tight budget, I think that universal in-ears can be an awesome way to upgrade the level of quality that you hear when you're on stage at church. If you can afford to spend more money on custom in-ear monitors from brands like 64 Audio or Ultimate Ears, you're gonna get what you pay for. If you have any questions about any of these models, leave a comment and let us know. We'll be checking in and be happy to answer those questions. Otherwise, there's links in the description to these on Amazon. Now, these are affiliate links, so if this video has been helpful to you and you click through to one of those links and decide to buy any of those models, then we get a little bit of a kickback. We really appreciate that support. It makes it possible for us to keep doing gear review videos like this one. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.